TikTok has changed over the last 48 hours, and this is what you need to know if you're trying to get views and you're trying to grow on here. Because as always with TikTok updates, they've introduced things that are going to change the kind of views people are getting. And across the board, even if you're not impacted by the specific changes, views tend to drop a bit for everybody whilst the algorithm settles down. So save this so you don't lose it, and follow for daily TikTok growth content. Now the changes to the algorithm are essentially down to adding additional checks to content before deciding if they're actually going to push it out at all. Not just how many views it will get, but whether the video is going to get views at all. So luckily when it comes to how many views you're going to get, it's the same as the algorithm update released, 6-8 months ago now, something like that, where watch time is king over everything. So if your videos have a high completion rate and a high average watch time in relation to how long the video is, then that video is still going to do well. However, the checks before pushing them out further are these. First, it's AI content. If you've used AI pretty much at all within the content and you haven't tagged it as AI content, then that video is not going to get views. And the way they worded it sounds like it's actually going to hinder your account as well. They were also doing extra explicitness checks is probably the best way you can put it, where if you're wearing anything overly revealing within the first couple of seconds of the video, or if you use any explicit or overly negative language within the first couple of seconds of the video, then they're not going to get views at all. From the way that they've said it in terms of like at the start of the video, it feels like you can introduce that later on in the videos, but to be on the safe side, I just avoid it completely. And next, and the thing I'm most curious about seeing how it's actually going to impact people is how they're treating overly salesy content. Again, a video is not going to get views at all if TikTok deems it overly salesy or overly pushy. So you've got to think about people trying to land brand partnerships, promoting products, using TikTok Shop, promoting their own business, so on and so forth. This might change the way people are going to have to style their content. And I've got a few ideas about that. So if you're trying to monetize, just let me know in the comments and I can get a video out explaining what I do there. Now, if you want to be part of the fastest growing TikTok growth community, where we see multiple creators get over 100,000 followers, some over 80,000, some over 60,000 within a couple of months, then just click the link in our bio. We've got a completely free version available and options for account breakdowns and one-on-one coaching calls and a full TikTok growth operating system. So click the link in our bio to check that out and I'll see you over there. 99.9% of content creators on TikTok are stuck at low views because people aren't watching their videos for long enough. That's the simplest we can put it. That's the simplest TikTok puts it when they explain how their algorithm works. So if you're stuck at low views, I'm going to explain how to combat this and essentially how I got these kind of videos within the last few weeks. So save this so you can come back to it later and implement the stuff we're talking about. And make sure you drop us a follow for daily TikTok growth content because we're trying to make sure everybody can grow on here. Now it's true. What determines how many views your video is going to get is watch time. When you first post a video, TikTok's going to push your video out to about 300 people, which is why when a lot of people are stuck at low views, they're stuck at the 200 to 300 range. And only if that video has a high enough completion rate or a high enough watch time will they push it out to more people, where the process will be repeated. So it'll get pushed out, the metrics will get checked. If good enough, they'll get pushed out, the metrics will get checked. If good enough, it'll get pushed out further, so on and so forth. And the only reason a video stops getting views is because it gets put in front of a new group of people and the watch time metrics decline. Well, after working with hundreds of accounts and posting thousands of videos ourselves, two main things consistently improve these results. The first one is getting put in front of the right people. Now just think of it for a second. If you post a video on TikTok and it gets pushed out to 300 random people, what are the chances out of hundreds of millions of people on the platform that those 300 people are going to be very interested in that one specific topic that your one specific video is on? Very, very, very low. Almost impossible. Almost like the lottery, which is why when a lot of people are stuck at low views, they say it's like the lottery, because when you take that approach, it is. But now imagine for a second, the 300 people you get put in front of are 300 people who have expressed an interest in your topic of video before. That's gold. That's exactly what we want. And you do this through TikTok SEO. So essentially your video is going to be about something. What you want to do is try and describe what that video is about in a keyword or a phrase. And as long as that keyword or phrase is used throughout the video, as long as it's used in the descriptions and the hashtags, and as long as it's a keyword or phrase that TikTok actually understands, which is quite advanced and I'll talk about in another video, then your video will get categorized correctly, which means your video will end up in front of people who have expressed an interest in that kind of video before. So that alone, if you can get put in front of those people, of course you're not going to be stuck at low views because they're actually going to want to watch that video. And as soon as they understand what it's about, they'll sit down and they'll improve your watch time metrics. Now, nicely leading on from that, I said if they understand what the video is about, they will watch it. That is the next part. You have to use the first 3 seconds of your video in order to hint what the video is about, in order to hint who the video is for, and in order to hint what kind of thing is coming throughout the video. That's quite difficult, but essentially it means you're using the hook trifecta: a visual hook, a text hook, and an audio hook. If you want me to get a video out explaining how to do that specifically, then just comment part 2 and I will. And you've probably heard a lot of this and thought there's a lot for you to learn in order to be successful on TikTok, and it can take quite a while to learn everything you need to learn in order to get consistently high views and just never struggle with low views again. Well, that's why we came up with our TikTok growth community, where we teach people everything they need to know in order to grow on TikTok, like Susan here, who gained 100,000 followers within a few months through taking everything on board. Well, we've got a free version of this available, so just click the link in our bio to access that, and I'll see you over there.
Quick tips in content are usually some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. It's like, post at this time of the day, click this setting, hashtags. None of that matters. I'm being 100% honest with you. That might give you like 5 extra views. But there are tactics that are rooted in psychology, because that's all content is. Content is just mass psychology. There are tactics that are rooted in psychology that you can literally do right after this video and probably get a 2 to 3 times improvement on your views like immediately. Let me break them down and I'm going to tell you why. The important part of this is not the tactics, it is the reasoning. Because if you can start seeing content through a psychological framework, like you're speaking to a large arena, then you're going to start reframing your mind. You're going to be a better content creator. Number 1, you need to have captions on your videos. This video will not have it because it's 10 minutes long and it's like too hard for me to get captions on it, and I don't really want to think about it too much, and I don't really care about views a ton. So I'm like a bad example. But 30% of people watch and scroll social media without captions. Okay, I think this was a Metricool statistic that came out like a year ago. Think about it like you're on a Zoom call, you're hanging out with your family, someone's watching a TV show, you have the volume off and you're scrolling 30% of the time. So if you have captions on, you're automatically going to get, what even is that, a 1/3 boost, I think, mathematically, almost, basically, in views. Okay, so there's our first 30% of views. Advice number 2 is on-screen text. This right here is massive. It is massive. If you do not have on-screen text, you need it. You need it. The human mind reads so fast. And so having this at the beginning of your video is way more crucial than what you say. For most people, for 99% of creators. Some of you are just on a different level. The third is you need to move your content to